This video is to show how I arrived at the dimensions for the final drawings for a shampoo bar, the floating shelf assembly, and the bypass doors assembly. Templating for this in place, this board that I have clamped to the openings is like my storyboard for how this would go. So I'll transfer all the dimensions from what I've found here to paper, and that should allow me to bring in a unit that can come in as one and insert into the openings while blocking down below so that it bears more on what's blocked here rather than fasteners having to go in here. Although, you know, you could drive fasteners into the blocking you have here, but there's nothing to that. So the best approach would be to have something bearing down on the stud cavity here. And it doesn't even really need to be fastened to anything, because once that unit is in and resting on it, that's what's gonna take the majority of the force pressing down. So let's run through how I have the openings. What I've done is I've scribed just inside of the opening here and just inside of the opening here. And we would build the units 8 3/4 deep, which is 1/4 inch short of the opening. That leaves some room to adjust. So the depth of that unit is designed in a way that it can go into the opening. Like I said, the bottom would rest on blocking that you have here, and then the casing around would press against the drywall and hide the cut on the drywall. So I've marked it here, opening 3, opening 2, and opening 1. So when I'm designing this and I'm designing the track and the casing, I'll know that I have some room to go over here, and I'll know that I have some room to go over here. But ultimately, this is my right limit for the guts of the inserted units. Now, as far as the vertical board here, what I have marked is I have marked the top of the base and then the bottom of the inserted units. If you carry this board along to all the other openings, this line here shows where the absolute bottom is. So if I'm gonna design a track to go below this for the bypass doors, I know that I've basically got this distance from here to the top of the base. And our goal is to leave a little bit above the base trim, because you're never gonna set it on top of the base trim and have a clean surface to surface kind of installation. So that's where my limits are gonna come from on this storyboard here. And then as you go up, top of the guts of the inserted unit, preferably a 3/4 inch tall track. There will be wall cleaning here, which will be 3/4, and then 3/4 up, 3/4 below, 2 1/4 inch tall floating shelf. And what that's gonna leave from the top of the floating shelf to the top of the knee wall, this distance is almost exactly 12 inches. It is probably gonna end up being closer to 11 3/4 after the install's done. But what that'll do is that'll allow the stylist to set the shampoo bottles down here, and whatever the overhang is on the top that's going on the knee wall is, it would kind of be concealed in there, so you wouldn't see them looking north as you come into the place. So I have all these marked, and this is how I'm gonna, like I said earlier in the video, arrive at my final dimensions for the drawing that I'll submit.